Hello, everybody, and welcome to Silent Podcast, the place where everything but silent. I'm your host, Isaiah, back again with a Big Brother review series to talk about Big Brother 18. We usually do this on Sundays or Mondays, but we had a little bit of scheduling conflicts. Unfortunately, Josie couldn't be here tonight, but that's okay. We will catch her on another time. But I have a very special guest to talk about Big Brother 18. I have one of my personal friends, and he's actually one of the admins on the Big Brother Wiki page. He's helping me with a couple of videos behind the scenes. And I know he is a self-proclaimed Nicole Franzel stan. Yes, they are
That's
out
crazy.
there. They do exist out there. So I wanted to welcome my friend Shinx. Shinx, what's going on, man?
Hey, thank you for having me. Twitter mob, I'm sorry. I know Franzel's a hot topic here. I apologize. I'm sorry in advance.
No, it's all good, man. Listen, so if you haven't been here, obviously, for those who are watching or listening on our audio platforms at Sound Podcast on all streaming platforms, we're here to talk about Big Brother 18. This is going to be a fun one. I mean, this is where I feel like we're finally out the dark ages with some of the older seasons, so we get to finally talk about some not so bad recent ones. Obviously this one isn't the perfect, but I mean it's not horrible. Like Shanks. It's been a
Yeah,
couple years since Big Brother 18, right? So
yeah.
how do you feel ultimately about the season?
I think for me personally, of the like modern, well, the pre 23 modern era seasons, it's in my top three alongside 17 and 20. So I think for the most part, it's not, I think it's a very fluid season. Like it's not the usual Power Alliance runs everything because we had the 8 pack running, then it broke up to the executives, then that crumbled. Then we got a final six of three duos that almost never happens, and then each duo lost someone. It was the final three of each member from the. It was a very fluid season, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was interesting. There was a whole lot of I want to say showmances, if that's what we want to
Yep.
call them. This was definitely like a season of love in the house, like comparative to Big Brother 21 in that aspect, I would say. But there was just a lot going on here. I was trying to decide what I want to talk about first between production and the players, but I guess we can kind of jumble it all together. I did want to ask you, so obviously, and I talk about this every podcast. This season is no stranger to twist. I still think that this is still in like the beginning end of let's just throw a bunch of twists in Big Brother and try to shake things up. I would say that this kind of started with BB16 and it kind of never slowed down, right?
Yeah.
But this season is no stranger to twist. Just to read down, we have the returning players, obviously, with Nicole, Frank, Davon, and James, which we will get to in a little bit.
Hmm.
We have the team's twist, which was actually pretty interesting at the beginning half. We had a day two eviction, the Big Brother roadkill, a battle bat competition, which another thing we will get to,
Yep.
the Big Brother round trip ticket, America's care package, and a jury re-entrant. So there was a lot going on here. But so in your opinion, what were they thinking here? I don't really know what the whole theme was that they were going. I want to say it was maybe camp related, but it wasn't really too clear. How did you feel
It
about it?
was their theme was like travel and like around the world. Remember they had Nicole and Davon and then popping out the suitcases. If Paul got the ticket
True.
from the plane and the phone, all that jazz, like the lunch. So yeah, they were just going for around the world and travel, I guess. And they usually aren't too heavy with their themes, especially looking at 17 where they drop their big theme like week 3. So I think going into this one, they were like, we're smacking the theme on everything. And yeah, it was really, I don't know. I think it was a nice house, but I think the theme, I don't even know what they were thinking. Like the three, basically three battle backs was not necessary.
No.
Especially, they didn't need the day one eviction. They could have gotten by with one battle back had they just not done the day one eviction. That was, you know, twist or twist. I don't know.
Who knows?
I'm not fond of. I've met Glenn. I feel bad for Glenn. I was like, yo, they did him so dirty. He was so close, like a few seconds with the coconut. Like, why? It's day two. You should not be fighting for your life on day two. Like he wasn't even on the block.
I personally, so I'll always give sympathy to Glenn and Jody because I feel like they were dealt such a bad hand. Obviously, I mean, are there any other day one evictions? I guess David, but
There's
like technically,
Cameron, David, I guess
okay,
Jacob and Sharon from BB9 kind of
okay,
thing.
that's fair. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
But all of them got to come back except Jody. At least they had
yeah,
a battle back chance, except Jody. Like, what's going on, production?
hot take. I was saying they should have brought Jody back instead of David Alexander, but that's anyways, too
I
far
go
going.
something crazy. I met David too. I can't talk about these people. I met them. I can't talk about them.
So I did want
Justice
to
for Jody, though. Justice for
justice
Jody.
for Jody, absolutely. But like, so we can start talking about some of the stuff. So before we start getting on a case by case basis, the twist, right? So our four choices here were Frank, Davine, Nicole, and James. I think that they were really going for the aesthetic that they went with Big Brother 14, where there they brought the two winners being Boogie and Dan with America's favorite players, or not America's favorite players, but notable favorites in Janelle and Brittany.
No, they both
So
were fan fave too.
oh, okay, well there you go. Two
Yeah,
winners, two American favorite players.
yeah.
Where here it seemed like the image here was two America's favorite players being James and who was it?
Frank,
James and Frank, and then just two fan favorites with
Day and
Nicole
Nickel.
and Day. So what was like did they get it right here? Like I mean at the time outside of what happened in the season with the
Yeah.
options that they were dealt with, did they get it right on like their selection process here?
So for me, this was my first returning season of people that I knew because I started
Oh,
with 14. So I
okay.
saw 14, 15, 16, 17, then they come back for 18. And my favorite people between all those seasons were Nicole and Davon. So I was like, yo, this is perfect for me. And then James, I prefer Johnny Mac. I voted Johnny Mac for fan favorite, but I was like, I don't got no beef with James. And then 14, I was a casual, and I did not like Frank at all during 14, and then he won me over. Then he got evicted, so I was like, all right, cool. So I was like, for the most, I was excited to see Nicole and Davon, and then
Mhm.
Frank and James. I was like, you know what, they could have been worse picks. I was just like, why is everyone a seventh placer except Davon? That was just weird to me.
Right.
Like I remember
So,
people thought Amanda was going to be there too, from
oh
because it was
god.
like taking seven places from 16, 15, 14. I was like, why would they do? I don't know, whatever.
See, so personally for me, right? I mean, I think Davon. I mean, I was shocked because, like, they usually don't invite many early boots back, but I was so excited because I love
Pleasantly surprised.
so great. I'm glad that she's been brought back, obviously, because her legacy and everything. And then Nicole, I mean, during her season, I thought that she had a lot of promise. I didn't mind Nicole coming back.
We still like Nicole at this point. Everyone still liked her by this point. It was
At
good.
this
It was
point,
clean.
yeah. Let's see, Frank. Outside of other than you, I was actually a big Frank fan during Big Brother 14. I'm no shy person to villains. I love villains in Big Brother, and I thought Frank was just a menace to society.
Yeah,
So
I
I
loved
enjoyed
Ian, so I'm
it.
like, yo, you're yelling at Ian. I'm like, yo, relax. So leave my guy
I like both
alone.
of them. I like both of them personally, but and then James, I was like, okay. Like I personally, like you, would have
Yeah.
voted anyone over James. I thought, I mean, he did pranks. I was like, if that's his personality, that's what you guys go for. Cool. Anyway, we jump into the season, and then obviously, as we said, Glenn is eliminated because of this twist, and it kind of you're starting to see like these power dynamics. There's like groups being formed, and we have the iconic Jose. Sorry, I'm Jose, the Messiah. That's why I said Josiah. The Messiah,
Just
Jose. What an icon for like a second boot. Like I don't know what they were thinking here, but like this guy was such a mess. Great television. But what was he doing here, Shanks? Because like I didn't understand the vision. He was just like telling people what to do. He thought that he could be the better version of Devin Shepard and boss people around. Like what was going on here?
as far as I know, Jose was a recruit, and I don't know what seasons they get shown in sequester if they get shown anything at all. But I think he was high on some Devon juice because he was like, nah, this is our season. Get these vets out of here. They do this every time, and it never works out. Like, you got to play with the vets for a little bit because guess what? When the fans vote, they're gonna vote for the vet. But Jose was like, nah, this is our time, our season, and like, I'm gonna run things. They're not HOH. Oh, I want the vets out while the vets HOH. You end up on the block. No, it's cool. we can get rid of Paulie because he's Yvette's brother. I'm like, okay, but the numbers. We got the numbers. No, we don't. And I don't. He was living in his own world, and I have to give some props to the majority for like letting him think that he was running things. But if he just looked for like a second, he could see he was very much on the bottom, and that's why his face when he was getting evicted and Paulie just had that smug grin staring at him. That's like one of the top eviction moments for me because this is like so funny.
I'm glad you said that because that's one of our first clips for tonight. I actually have it preloaded. Jose's eviction here on the first official week of Big Brother 18.
Her belongings and walk out the front door. With 0 votes to evict, Bridget,
Look at him
you
stressing
are
out.
safe. It's down to Jose and Paulie
Paulie rubbing his hands.
by a vote of 7-4. Jose, you are evicted.
What a mess.
Say what you want about Paulie. This man he's sitting down and he's being good TV. He's sitting there in silence and he's good TV. Paulie's something else.
I mean, I got a lot to say about him in a little bit.
We'll get to him later.
So I mean, that was crazy. I definitely just had to pull that out because that's rent free in my mind. The one thing I do want to say about the season is the amount of like gifs and memes that come from the season to this day that I still use is kind of funny.
We just got a lot of characters on this season.
Yes. But so this is kind of where it's kind of like because Bronte and Tiffany are both eliminated here back to back. Tiffany, her impact wasn't really that big. This is one of the few things that was interesting about this was that they casted 2 people who were siblings of previous Big Brother players. Tiffany being the previous season Vanessa's sister, and then Paulie being Cody's sister. Now, brother. Oh my god. now it's interesting because I feel like Tiffany gets a lot of heat just for being Vanessa's sister. And I think Paulie just kind of gets swept under the rug. No one doesn't care that he's Cody's sister, which is kind of interesting because he's like a part of the Hitman and everything. But maybe the fact that he took Derek to the end probably helped him out a little bit. I don't know. But, I mean, Bronte, she was a part of, I want to say the Spy Girls was their alliance name. It was her, Natalie, and Bridget. Yeah. And, I think Bridget, the interesting thing about this group is I think Bridget was loyal to Frank, and then Frank did not care about her alliance members. So, it just kind of gets wonky there. But do we have any strong feelings about Tiffany and Bronte?
So the Tiffany thing, it was weird because I think Cody never got a lot of credit for the good that he did in 16 until now after 22. So back then it was still like, oh yeah, Cody's just the guy that took Derek. So no one was really like worried about Paulie. But then Vanessa was over here getting blood down to her freaking armpits. And then I don't know if this is a hot take. From what I remember during 17, people did not like Vanessa during the season. But then afterwards, it was like, oh man, she was robbed. And she was like an acquired taste, so people were late to the party or whatever. So then all that goes and gets applied to Tiffany. And then Davon had a rough experience. And Davon and James both had rough experiences with Vanessa. They could project that onto Tiffany. But when Nicole, her and Cody kind of made up after the season, so she didn't have that much negative to push onto Paulie. And even then, she put Paulie up week 1. So with the siblings thing, it's like them doing siblings was one thing. Doing siblings with vets was a whole. If you see with Alyssa, everyone applied her to Rachel, but it was like no one who played with Rachel was in there. So it's a lot different. So I think a lot of what happened with Tiffany came up from Davon and James's own, like, not issues, but like personal whatever with Vanessa coming back up. They're in that house, they're playing that game, deja vu. And you're like, I know what your sister did, and you're reminding me a lot of her. So I'm like, ugh. But with Cody and Paulie, it's like, I know what your brother did. It was dumb, so I'm not really worried about you. So
yeah. And it's interesting to even break that down. I didn't even think about it in that way, but Davon being in the season with Vanessa strongly impacted Tiffany's game.
Yep.
And Nicole, now that I think about it, has never played a Big Brother season without a Calafiori. Exactly. So it's like, the Calafiori package with Nicole, like, is that the winning formula for her to do well in the game? I don't know. But wow, I didn't even think about that. But so the next two boots, and this is technically the first boot of the pre-jury, and then we can kind of get
Yeah.
more into the interesting
Oh
characters of the
wait, we kind of
season.
we kind of missed Victor since with the whole battle back thing.
I forgot. Victor is this is
Yeah,
his first out of 3 times getting
yeah, he
eliminated this
right
season.
after Jose, before Bronte. Yeah, week
I
three.
totally forgot that.
Yeah,
So this is the weird part of Big Brother. I'm glad you brought that up,
yeah.
where they were experimenting with having not one battle back, but two battle backs, and they gave the pre-jury a battle back. Victor wins this one, and he wins it another time, but we'll get to that in a second. But what were they thinking here? Like, I mean, was it smart to put two battle backs in the same season, Shinx?
I don't know, because this is Survivor Redemption Island. It was a few years back. I guess even
Mm-hmm.
Blood versus Water was the last one. That was what 2014, 13. So it was like 2 or 3 years away. So I guess this was still in their periphery. So they were like, yeah, let's do a redemption style battle. We can do a bracket because I don't think they've ever done a bracket battle back before. So
Oh,
I guess they just wanted to try it out. And then it was Glenn versus Jose. That's no offense, Glenn. That's not a fair matchup at all. Jose had that in the bag, and then Victor went and swept Jose, swept Bronte, swept Tiffany, and he's back in the house. I was like, yeah, I don't really. But even then, they weren't all physical. So I guess Victor has a jack of all trades, I guess. So I don't know what they were thinking. I guess they wanted to experiment, and they're like, why not? It's a travel season. Let's throw them back in that travel from your house to
yeah.
sequester back to the house. I don't know. It was a
Now,
weird twist. Hmm.
no, I
Go
mean
ahead.
to give him credit, or I mean, yeah, to give him credit. I remember him, Paul, and Zakia were trying to be like a trio. They did not really bang with Davon too much, so they kind of kept her on the back burner. But
Yeah, the
they were
team
trying to be
sister,
a
big
trio.
sister.
And the big sister, and I think it was going somewhere, and I think Jose was in their corner too. Obviously,
Yeah.
Jose left, but the issue with this is that Paulie wifing up Zakia during the season put a huge nail in their plans. Obviously, because like obviously once that showmance is there, you're kind of losing one of your numbers. And Victor was also just this big physical guy
Yep.
that he just needed to go at the point. You're starting to see showmances form like I said, Paulie and Zakia. We're also seeing Corey and Nicole get a little too close. And I'm trying to think, is there? Oh yeah, and James and
James and
Natalie.
Natalie, and then Natalie and Victor had their own thing before it feeds.
Yes,
Just a lot of love.
all over the place, which gets referenced in the challenge. That's a whole nother show, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, I don't know.
but
It was a weird thing because it was like they had pulled Zakia into the 8 pack, and then Paulie was basically in the 8 pack. So they were like, yeah,
yeah,
they're team vet. You've got Victor. It's a funny clip of Victor talking to his future wife Nicole about how he's targeting. He rips his shirt off mid montage. He's like, "Yeah, I'm coming after you guys. It's fine." And one of
yeah,
the funniest moments to me is when Nicole comes out of the box in the beginning. It's Victor and Corey, and they're like, "She already had her chance. No third chances." And it's because that's her future husband, her showmance, and then Victor is the one who ends up getting 3 chances in the same. It's just like you can't write this stuff. It's hilarious.
it's a mess. So every season has a dark area, and this kind
Yep.
of ties into our next talking point, which is Frank.
Beauty's booty.
Unfortunately,
Ugh.
so just to give a breakdown for people who haven't watched it, I was a big Frank fan in Big Brother 14, which I'm very excited to talk about at some point. Got some very special guests for that, but Frank obviously comes back. I think he was very beloved from a lot of fans and also very disliked, but he wasn't problematic or anything. This season, I don't know what happened to Frank, man. Like I felt like it was just a little bit icky at some points when it came to Frank in this season, and it was specifically a situation that I'm kind of glad is getting brought back up because Davon actually brought it up in a video recently. If you're curious about it, go on her YouTube channel. Do not tag Davon in any of this stuff. She said that she wants to move on from all this crap. Do not tag her. Do not harass her. Any of that stuff.
Fact.
But with that being said, and I think DM Rocks actually just said in the chat, Frank was touching ladies. It wasn't even just that. I'm gonna find a video real quick, but Frank was just not the best with the women in the house, but specifically Davon. I do. I'm not even gonna put it on the screen because I don't think Davon would want that on the screen.
Yeah.
But there was just a situation where he was making comments about people's weight. And then specifically, it was with Davon, where I remember on the show, which was wild in my opinion, where like he kind of like touched her butt.
Yeah.
She said, "Stop touching my ass, Frank," and then he did it again, and she got
Called her a
very
slut
sad.
or something crazy like that.
Yeah, yeah. And then she got upset, was crying about it. She went to the DR, which I don't know why the show made this a segment.
I think from her
Um,
video, she said that was just her breaking down, and they was like, "Ooh, TV gold, throw this up there, throw it up there." I
I
don't
don't
know.
like that. And I was actually talking to a friend today, in preparation for this, and this kind of bothered me. It's with CBS as a whole, with this era. I hope that they've learned their lesson by now, but it's like I never understood, and it really bothered me for years, and I think that they swept under the rug, is that why wasn't Frank punished or removed from the game? But outside of that, even if you look at Survivor,
Yeah.
I Love the Islands with the
Yep.
whole Dan situation, Dan was doing the same thing to Kelly. They didn't remove him until the
Until he touched
production
the
member,
production member.
so I never really understood why these CBS production companies were kind of like using these as like segments for television shows instead of handling it.
Yeah.
But that always bothered me for years, because I never forgot about that, and I felt like once the season was all said and done, and we had the rest of the seasons going, I think people just kind of forgot about it, and I'm glad that Dave brought it back up, because that always bothered me. I didn't like that, and I was really disappointed in Frank from that. What also bothered me is that CBS, knowing that this happened, put a wall in All Stars 2 with his face on it, and I'm like, why are you guys idolizing this man when he did
Yeah.
something? That's always going to bother me. That's all I gotta say about it.
Yeah, you summed it up pretty well there.
Yeah. Do you have any other extra feelings about Frank?
I was always sour on Frank because I was like, "Yo, leave me in." I was like, "All right, let's see if he can win me back over." He
Mm,
did not win me back over. I
no.
thought it was. I remember there was a lot of production rigging stuff for Frank when like he kept winning the roadkill competitions and his team kept winning immunity, so he was never going up. So I was like, "Oh God, here we go again." And then as soon as he wasn't safe, he's gone. So I was like, that says a lot more about Frank's own social game. If you remember looking back at 14, Frank was always on the block, HOH, or veto holder. For like, he didn't vote for like so many days, like until week 7 or something. I don't even know how long he didn't vote in Big Brother 14. So like that, this guy's social game is really funky. If he has to rely on competitions and twists to be safe and gets booted the first chance he gets, I don't know. Frank is a
Hmm.
big character. That's not always a good thing. He's definitely, I don't want to say a legend, but he's definitely a notable figure in Big Brother.
I think he was in the status of like one of the better characters, villain
Yeah,
specifically,
known in infamy, yeah, like that.
and he just kind of like threw it all away,
Yeah.
and so the one thing I will say about him in this game, just to go back on the game side, I do remember his hold he had on Bridget was
Oh
kind of
yeah, that was
crazy.
weird.
I'm never going to forget Bridget laying in the bed with him, and Frank's basically like, "Yeah, I just screwed your whole alliance over, but I'm safe." And she was like, "Okay."
Yeah,
And I was
Devon was like Bridget's HOH is Frank's HOH. I was like,
it
yeah.
was crazy. It was crazy. But fall from grace, Frank. I'm very disappointed in him. I don't really got much else to say, man. It's tough. It's tough.
I don't
Um,
know if this is confirmed. I think Ian said this on the 22 feed. They don't remember. I think him and Frank got called for the Amazing Race during that big reality
wow,
season. I
really?
don't remember if that's confirmed, if I might be misremembering, but I think Ian said he got called with Frank and they didn't do it. And obviously they kept Ian's number for All Stars 2. I'm assuming
Yeah.
Frank got a call. So I don't know.
Wow.
Maybe they lost the number by now, but at least it was a few years ago. I don't know.
They don't lose nothing, man. Watch. But,
They probably should.
yeah, yeah. But there you go. That's our pre-jury. So as we said, jury returnee. Oh my God, what's his name? Victor. Sorry, Victor
Yeah.
returns. Game's back. We haven't spoken about Paul yet. Paul's there. Not really in a power position in comparison to Big Brother 19, which we just spoke about last week,
Yeah,
which
but
is
at this
very
point,
funny.
I think the executioners are in control by this time. The jury starts. APAC
Yes.
is dead. Executioner Paulie's leading the house. His
And
downfall is
who was
gonna
in the
come.
Executioners Alliance? Just
It was
recap
just the guy.
that.
It was the guys. It was Paulie, Victor, Paul, Corey, and James. So I think that's all the
Got it.
guys. Yeah, all the guys by
Okay.
that point, and then the girls were just there at that point.
So it's unfortunate because I think Davon, I don't think she was controlling the house or anything, but she was playing a fairly good game at this time. I think
Yeah.
she had a really good read on the game. I think out of her 3 seasons she's played, this is definitely the best out of all 3 of them.
Yes.
And she was just never in the power structure. I think she put a lot of trust in people like Nicole Franzel, who unfortunately, for the first time, the first of two, completely played her. I think she was looking at her original team, like Zakia Paul and Victor, for help, which obviously, they were not really messing with her either. I don't think Davon really had a fair shake of things.
Yeah.
The only person who really was interested in working with her, I want to say, was Zakia, and that did not last too long because
It was
obviously,
also kind
okay,
of James because James had pitched
yes,
her the showmances plus her, and she was like, "Why the hell would I go to a final seven with 3 showmances, James? That doesn't make any sense to me." And she's like, "I'm going after the showmances," and James is like, "But I'm in a showman, so you're going after me." And then that was the end of their game relationship, and I
yeah,
think that's part of why it kind of flipped on her, if I remember correctly. It was
yes.
like a bit funky.
And it's crazy because not only does Day leave, oh wait, real quick, we got a side question from the chat from Zena Man. Side question: would y'all ever do an over the top review? I generally feel like they don't get enough credit and recognition despite it being out their control, and it wasn't able to play. I want to let you know we are planning on. I am planning eventually. I'm not sure when yet. There will be a Big Brother over the top, a Celebrity Big Brother 1 through 3 reviews. So I'm going to cover every portion of Big Brother US. So OTT and Celebrity Big Brother will
Big
be
Brother
talked
one,
about.
let's go.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. But yeah, at some point, those aren't going to be the last episodes. But before we get to, I want to say old school Big Brother, like maybe. I want to say maybe after Big Brother 13, I'm going to start covering to the side seasons, and then we'll get back to the regular seasons. But
That sounds fair.
yes. But anyways, so obviously we lose day. Crazy week is after this is when we
Oh
lose
yeah,
Zakia, and it's
Bridget right
under
after her because that was a double.
boom, boom, boom. But what's crazy, which I think a lot of people forget, is that Zakia is eliminated by her own showman's Paulie,
Yup.
and we do not see that a lot outside of like what I want to say Diane and Drew
Diane and Drew,
long time ago. We do not see that a lot. So
and he didn't even do it on
Paulie,
purpose. He just messed
yeah,
up.
he got completely played. He got completely played. But Paulie basically got tricked. Not tricked, but he was just following the leader. There was something wrong with Paulie at this time where he was just so
Yeah,
obsessed with Paul. I
Team
don't know what it is
PP
about Paul. There's something about Paul that
with the
people
shaved
love.
hair, the beard. Team
He
PP.
he looked like, oh my god. I just need to find it. But I mean,
Find a
while
picture
I'm
of
looking
those
for
two.
this, how did you feel about like Paulie this week? Like, what was going on with him?
So by this point, we get the round trip ticket. Executioners are in control. I think on Davon's. Yeah, Paul was HOH here, and Paul and Davon were never on the good foot. So then they take out Davon. We go to Zakia. I believe this was a Victor week, if I'm not mistaken. It was Victor, then Corey, then Victor again. Yeah, so Victor's HOH here. He throws up Zakia and Michelle with the beads. Big Meat starts bawling. And I don't know, that was so funny to me. I think Victor was still in his quote unquote douchebag era here before he slowly became the guy that becomes AFP and all that jazz. So it was just
Yes.
funny. And then the Executioners attack control. Paulie wins, I believe it's hide and go veto here. And he does
Mm-hmm.
like the best strategy everyone's seen in that game. The production doesn't even put a hole in the kitchen table anymore because
That
of
was
him.
broken. I
That
don't
was
think they've done this
crazy.
challenge since then
They haven't
either.
done the challenge since I want to say like 19. No, 20 is the last time. I
Got
think
it.
it
Okay.
stopped because of COVID. I think because of COVID,
I
because they can't
really
go in
love
the
the
house.
challenge. I wish they kept doing it.
I think they did it in 21 and they stopped because they can't go in the house to clean it during COVID. So they're just like, yeah, we're gonna dead
That
this. I
sucks.
was like, James keeps freaking messing everything up. But yeah, Paulie did the best way to win this challenge I've ever seen. He wins the veto of the keys on the block. You think, yeah, save your showman. He's like, you know what? She's gonna stay. I'm team executioner. And Zakia, you're gonna be the pawn. And then he frees his noms. James goes up. I'm evicting your girl, bro. And he just like, fuck. He can't do. Cause James, I think James. I think the care package was here at this point, if I'm not mistaken.
Flop
Yeah,
twist,
the
by the
care
way.
packages were here, and James, if I'm not mistaken, had the power to cancel 2 votes, so he deaded any chance of Zakia staying alive, and it was like, sucks for you.
Just real quick, for those who did not watch it, this is how obsessed Paulie was with Paul this season. Same haircut, same beard style. Don't know what was going on with this
Damn near
guy.
same shirt, bro.
It's kind of scary. I wish I knew what Paul does to people to have them so obsessed with him.
Team
But
PP.
TPP, BB19, there's something about Paul that people just want to be Paul. But that happened, and I will never forget that, and that was just bothering me. But yeah, Paulie evicts his own showmance.
Yep.
And we have another iconic moment, Shanks. Zakia joining the jury house to talk to Davon, and Davon finding out
Wait a damn
that
minute. Wait a damn minute.
Congratulations, Paulie. You have won the golden power of veto.
His last one of the season.
Wait a damn minute. Damn minute.
Oh, this is
I love
peak.
Zakia.
Davon is the best. Just, I love Davon. I don't know if you want Davon. I love you. If you see this,
Davon's a queen, man. Shout out
oh my
Day.
god.
But yeah, I love that moment. Yeah, I don't know what the hell he was thinking when that happened, but there you go.
His faith in the boys, and they backstabbed him.
Yes. Now, as you said, Bridget, I'm gonna be honest, once Frank was gone, had no chance of winning the season.
And she had a
I don't
bum
think
knee too. I think she hurt herself in a challenge, so she
yes.
yeah.
And Bridget was a little veto queen. She was winning a lot of stuff, man. But yeah, Bridget was just kind of a lone player at that point, just trying to survive. Didn't really have much capital. There's some people who want to see Bridget come back. Do you want to see
I would
Bridget
have
back?
loved. I would have. I think I don't know if she would come back, but I would not be mad at a Bridget return. It's still
Yeah.
crazy to me that all these characters and the only people here from 20 that were on 22 were 2 of the 4 vets,
Yeah.
and the only person to come back out of all the newbies was Paul. The next
Yeah.
season, it's like such like Paulie is the one of the. We'll get to him. He's a good character. I'm shocked he didn't come back at any point, but it's only been a few seasons, so maybe he's on the challenge. Was whatever. I don't know. I don't know.
It's interesting that the Big Brother 17 representation for people to come back outside of Nicole and Day is Paul, and there's
Yeah.
nobody else from the season that's kind of been asked back for anything. But to be fair,
Yeah.
this is kind of the first batch that they used for the challenge.
Yeah.
Jose.
They got Jose, Day, Paulie,
Day,
Natalie.
Paul, a lot of people.
Corey wasn't. Victor was there. Corey was an alternate. Like
there's a lot of people in this cast who have been thrown to challenge land. So I will say that.
yeah.
Does Victor come? What round does Victor come back a second
Victor
time?
doesn't. Victor leaves in final 7, the first final
Okay.
7.
Okay.
So he doesn't leave. He leaves after Paulie. After Paulie goes, and then he comes right back in.
So I couldn't find a video of this. Obviously Paulie is evicted after Bridget. I could not find a video, but it's rent free in my mind. I remember distinctly when he is so down bad, he gets a punishment during
God.
that he has to make pies during the week, and this guy's making a pie, waving his flag, and crying in an apron.
Yep.
God, it was so hard to watch. It was so hard to watch, and it's just like you really just got played by your own people, And to be fair, I think Paulie was playing such a dominant game at first, and
Yep.
he just let it go. But it's interesting. We haven't spoken about Nicole yet. What is Nicole's impact here at the time? Because I think he was close with Corey.
Yeah.
And Nicole was close with, she was with Corey. So it's like they were also a little group there, but he tried to split his loyalties between them and Paul. What was going on here as a designated Nicole stan, Shanks?
So by this point, we get Zakia leaves, her, Corey, and Paulie are like pretty fucked up. And then Corey wins the double, sweeps that. They send Bridget out, but then Big Meech is like, Nicole's a snake, Jose was right. And then she thinks she's leaving, and then she stays almost unanimously. And she's like, oh, I fucked up. Because she thought she was out the door. She's like, oh, I fucked up. And that's like one of the first big times Nicole's getting called out. But if you look at everything, she's still got James. She's still got Paulie. She's still got Corey. So Nicole, all Natalie did was burn Victor, Paul, and Natalie. all Michelle did at that point. And obviously Natalie's still not with her at that point. And then Victor went to HOH again, and then Nicole gets the care package. She gets immunity, the little unitard, the safety suit. That's what it is. And then by that point, Victor's like, "Yo, Paul." I think this is when Natalie and Michelle go back up to Victor like, "Yo, Paulie's been running this show the entire time. He fumbled by losing his girl. Now it's the time you got to strike." And they're like, "Yo," Victor's like, "You're right. Let's do it." He throws up Paulie and Corey. And some people were like, "Oh, Nicole only got the care package because Bridget was evicted." I think that's true, but we don't know the numbers. Obviously, we'll never see, so we don't know for
Okay.
sure. But that's what happened. Nicole got the safety. Victor swept the week. He locks the nom. Paulie gets his punishment. And by that point, Paulie's out the door. But even if Nicole had found herself on the block this week without the safety, she doesn't leave against Corey. She definitely doesn't leave against Paulie. So she's pretty much sitting, and she was the one kind of dictating a lot of Paulie's moves before he went to the executioners, at least.
Mm-hmm.
So by that point, it's fucking. And
If
then
you guys didn't believe me, Nicole stand right here.
I watched that Dan in the video, bro. He opened my eyes. I was like, "Oh, you're right. She did a lot. I forgot."
I'm glad you brought up a moment that I totally forgot about, which was Paul and Nicole arguing, and then Corey coming out.
Oh,
with
and
the
Corey
strip
with the
show.
strip tease.
I'm gonna play it real quick, but
Go
yeah.
for it.
Well, let me back up. That was
I
my
gotta go
fault.
back.
I have to ask anybody. This is a conversation between you and I.
That's the sole reason you're up on the block
That's the
right
sole
now.
reason.
Final two right there. Final two.
That's the 100% reason.
Hey everyone, my Patriot Talk punishment's done. Woohoo! Yeah!
I'm getting yelled at right
Yeah,
now.
baby.
Idiot.
Oh, I'm
That's
getting
like,
dude.
I never made one thing up about
And she's still wearing the hat.
Time to take off the Patriot Tire. Bad sounding.
Oh yeah.
So-
I'm getting it all off, by the way. I'm getting
Apparently
full
he's on the
nude.
block because of me, because of things that I've said.
Out of the words of your mouth,
Yeah.
I'm a manipulator and I'm a liar. Who have I manipulated? Because I'm on the block right now because of you.
Oh, are y'all fighting?
Oh, y'all fighting, bro?
What?
Or Busco.
Yes. So by this point, Natalie wins the HOH. Big Meech gets the care package. She gets co-HOH. You think Nicole was screwed here, but then somehow she gets Natalie and Big Meech to go after Paul and Victor instead.
yes.
I forget I think she needed James's help here, but she was able to flip them. I think she lied about. Oh, I think I remember. She lied about something that was true, and she just got a lucky guess. And then
Mhm.
James was like, "Oh fuck, this is true."
So
then I don't remember for sure though.
well, I wanted to, as you said. So obviously, Big Meech, love the name by the way. I was not
Yeah.
a Big Meech fan at first. It grew on me. Big Meech and Natalie do leave back to back after. So I did think it
Yeah.
was funny that first of all, just to credit Big Meech as one of the better petty players in Big Brother history. I like that she was willing to cry as much as she did. I wanted to say that I thought it was bizarre that she hated Bridget because she wanted to work with
She
Frank.
wants to be with Frank.
And she also just did not like Nicole. Boy, did she know something that we didn't. I'll also won't forget the one double eviction where Meech is ready to leave, and then she doesn't go,
Yep.
and then she's ready to leave again.
She
I don't
doesn't
think
go.
She doesn't go. So she's like calling everyone out. And she's like, "Oh, I'm still
I'm
here."
still here. Yikes.
Yeah. So, I love Big Meech though. She's a queen. I love how petty she is. I remember her playing like Sequester last year, and then she was beefing with someone during that as well.
Oh my
I think
god.
I love how petty she is. So
She had a little crush on Ian. It was really funny.
and Natalie, I think Natalie, in my opinion, Natalie reminded me a little bit of Jessica from Big Brother 9. I want to say that was. Ooh, wait.
8 with Eric.
Eight, thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
maybe
let me clear that up. But Natalie reminded me of Jessica from Big Brother 8 a lot actually, and I really liked the way she was playing. I wish she didn't have the showmance because I think that held her back a lot.
yeah.
And you know, but I think she had a lot of promise. unfortunately, I don't see her coming back to Big Brother since she's a challenge star now.
Not even that. I think she's in trouble with them. I don't know. I don't want to say nothing crazy because I
What
don't know for
happened?
sure. Something with
Okay.
like she threw some glitter at somebody. She got an invisible edit on her last season. I don't think she hasn't been on since. I don't know if she's been called back since.
Mm.
She obviously she can't fight people on the show, so she throws glitter at people to get her frustration. And I
Yeah.
think she threw glitter at the wrong person or something, and he was like, "Oh, I couldn't breathe. I was coughing. I was choking." Da 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 da.
Whoa.
I don't even. And so it was like there was a fine or so. I don't remember for sure. I'm not. I'm not a reliable source. I'm just saying what I remember. But she hasn't been on the
Well,
challenge in a few seasons, few years. I don't know
I'm
if
gonna
they
have
got
to.
her number. I don't know.
I'll have to ask the challenge expert on this network. Carrie. Shout out to Carrie and Katie though. By the way, they streamed before this stream happened. So if you watch the challenge, check that out. But I'm gonna have to ask her about that. I have no idea about that.
Glittergate is a thing in the challenge community, and it's Natalie's at the center. That's all I know for certain. And I
Wow.
know Bananas is there and Zach is involved. That's all I know for certain. And she hasn't been
Wow.
back since.
Okay. So
Yeah, Natalie was a fun character. I liked her.
Oh, absolutely. Sorry, I thought I heard something. But yeah, she definitely was. What I want to do, says we just got to all the people who are on jury at this point.
Yeah.
I wanted to show so first of all, for those who don't know, the thing that attracts a lot of people to Big Brother 18 is the jury segments. I think this is probably the most live jury segments in Big Brother history. I think they were so entertaining. They were personally keeping me hooked onto Big Brother because there was so much drama every time we got a jury segment. This jury did not like each other. Apparently, Zakia stopped hanging out with Davon and started going back to Pauly after he blindsided her.
After she ghosted Pauly the first week of jury, she went right back. I was like, oh God, what's going on here? This is who you lay with? This is who you lay with?
Obviously,
you
have all the girls. All the girls are siding with Day. So Bridget and Natalie and Meech are all siding with her, and they're like, Zakia, why are you going back to Pauly?
Yeah, if we get to the next one of go ahead, yeah.
Paul, you know what? Instead of telling you, let me show you.
Yes, sir.
What the hell are you talking about?
I know exactly what I'm talking about.
Pauly, you gotta
when
be
it
at
comes
least
to
6 feet to
Zakia.
talk to me. Shut the hell
Damn.
up. Like the damn
Trying to make
thing.
short
Get the
jokes.
hell out of here.
Davon, you
Chill,
are so
short ass.
classless. And the
I
only
am
thing you can
very
say to me-
classy. I am very classy. I'm very classy.
That's it.
Pauly, you are an arrogant.
No, you
And I
don't.
do know that you only
you
talk
don't.
down to women. I ain't heard
No.
you buck up to a man yet.
No.
Yeah.
Really? Were you in the rooms when I was at James' throat?
Because I am
Yeah.
a Inglewood. I ain't
Yeah.
a punk. Don't ever get it twisted.
Davon,
Don't ever get it
I
twisted.
will get it twisted
Don't
because
ever,
you are a
excuse me,
punk.
Bridget. Don't
You're
ever
actually-
get it twisted.
You're actually a
Don't
classist
ever
little
get
punk.
it twisted.
She's sitting on Bridget's foot.
Ain't nobody afraid of you. Ain't nobody afraid of you.
Ain't nobody
You
gotta
put
be.
no fear
The
in
guys
me.
are
None.
afraid of
You can
fear
punk
in
her
you,
ass, but
okay?
you don't punk me.
I ain't punking
No
Zakia.
bags.
You need
no
to chill,
bags.
okay?
No
I will
bags.
know it.
Run back.
Okay?
Run
I
back.
will run.
Run back.
Okay?
Run back.
What kind of example
Run
you set
back.
for your
Run
baby
back.
girl?
Don't bring up my daughter.
Well,
Here we go.
You gotta stand over me.
Don't get your
I'm so upset.
This is the one that you lay with. This is the one that you lay with. This one right here.
You're good, sweetheart. You're good.
Don't bring up my daughter.
I love it.
Don't bring up
Not
my
production
daughter.
after they come on set.
Daughter,
Punk ass bitch.
I love you. I think you're beautiful. I think that you deserve more than this.
Just leave me alone, please.
Polly, you disgust me.
You disgust yourself.
She right.
Yeah, okay.
You a weak ass bitch.
I don't even know what you're
No
saying. You're
back.
making no sense
No
now.
back. And her too, because she ain't got my back either. He made you look like an idiot. What does that have to do with me? He made you look like an idiot on TV.
And you ain't got nothing to say either, Bridge.
God, you make my skin boil.
I don't want to do this. No. You're supposed to be my friend. You're supposed to be my friend. You're supposed to be my friend. You be my friend. You're supposed to be my friend. Wow, now you turned your back on me.
My God.
I'm from Inglewood. I don't play those games.
What a crazy man. That
The
was
second
wild.
big controversy of the season, besides Frank, was the way Pauly treated women. This
Yeah, that was
was
a mess.
prime example.
That
The
was a
whole
mess.
FT's debacle and everything. Him with Zakia, just a lot. Pauly,
Yeah.
good character for TV, but I don't. No.
I will say though that this was in my opinion, the most live juries ever. Like, it was
Absolutely.
so old school.
This is
So
what the
old
rumors
school.
were saying the 24 jury was like, but this is peak. I don't think a jury will be like this.
Yeah, the
ever.
jury was never going to be like this was peak Big Brother jury in my opinion. Like oh my god.
They just hate
The
each other and they're stuck together, and there's no game to play, so they just gotta live together.
the
That's it.
only like close like jury drama I could think of from recent years is like the Big Brother 21 situation where Nick was cheating on Bella.
Oh
Like
gosh.
but
And she wasn't even in jury, so you can't even fight about it.
yeah, sometimes you get magic and jury, and that was definitely wild to watch. There's so many more segments. If you have not watched, if you're not going to watch the season, at least go back and watch all the jury segments because they were crazy. Anyway,
Ah,
back to the game. Final five. We have five people left. Chinks. Victor, as you said, was eliminated in Final Seven. He comes back again, and then he loses for the third time. There's not much to really talk about here. What's your opinion on Victor's game, man? Because obviously Victor is seen as one of the better competitors of recent years. Challenge beast, only person in Big Brother to come back 2 times in the same season, but also the first person and only person to get eliminated 3 times in the same season.
come on,
So I
Ozzy.
mean,
Come on, Ozzy.
okay, we've seen him on the challenge, we've seen him on the Amazing Race. I'm kind of shocked we did not see him on All Stars, but obviously his new relationship with Nicole Franzel obviously probably played a factor into that. But what's your opinions on Victor here?
Okay, first Victor, for Paul and Victor, I didn't like them at the start. Then Victor was gone, so then I I didn't like Paul. And then Victor came back, and they just slowly became better. I don't know when the shift turned. There was like a big point in the season where like people fell off on Nicole and people stock rose on Paul and Victor. I don't know when. I wanted to like around when Devon left or something. I'm not fully sure, but it was like the sitting ducks all the way. Everyone was rooting for them like crazy, and I'm like, yeah, I could see it. So for Victor, by the end of it, I liked him. I don't even remember if I voted Devon for AFP, but I was not disappointed with him winning at all. And his winning chances, despite the fact that he had left twice by that point, I still think he had good odds because people love an underdog story. And we can always say that people who get evicted aren't supposed to win, but if you're a jury who had the opportunity to battle back, that could have been you. So it's like, if I don't vote for you, what am I saying about if I had come back? And so I think Victor had very good odds to win if he had stayed in the game, which is part of why he left 3 times. So Victor was great at comps. If you want to like break down his battle backs as their own comp wins, I think he's up there with like Janelle and Mickey and stuff. But obviously, no one really counts those. But Victor's also. You want to talk about like people being petty? Victor evicted both of the HOHs that sent him out. Paulie
Yes.
sent him out week 2. Victor came back, sent out Paulie. Natalie sends Victor out. Victor comes back the same week, sends Natalie back out. It's like the only person that's done something similar is Danielle Briones in Baby 13.
Mhm.
She sent out Brendan twice. Like people are not that petty with their battle backs, but Victor is one of them. He's like, "You got me." He was always like 9-1. All of you voted me out except Paul, so I don't got none of y'all's backs except Paul. Nicole, his future wife, mother of his child, voted him out 3 times. Paul never voted him out once and sat on the block next to him that final time. I don't know. Victor is definitely I would love to see Victor back. I don't know if he will come back if he want. I think he said he's done with RTV. I'm not sure. I'd love to see Victor back. Maybe with some longer hair. Like, that's the point.
Here's the thing with him and Paul in the season. I think obviously this is the season that the distaste for Nicole Franzel starts, and I personally like Paul this season. I didn't
This
mind
season,
Victor
yeah.
either. They were the underdogs, but Nicole, there's something about Nicole. So Nicole, in my opinion, and this is kind of starting the discourse about her.
Here we go.
She is a villain who does not accept that she's a villain. Just like I think Vanessa is a blatant villain, which I cannot wait to talk about her next week, is a villain who does not like to accept that she's a villain. Nicole Franzel she was a hero her first season,
Yep.
anti her second season, and
Yep.
a straight up villain her third season. Like, it's just a downward trajectory.
I agree.
And it's just the way that she plays. I don't think she's too fond of playing with women. I think her strategy is to cling on to a guy. No shade, because I know Bayless hit a couple shots off a guy. Her first time being Hayden, this time being Corey, and her third time being Cody. Clings onto a guy, works with the guys. You're the guy's number one that everyone goes to. Get every other woman out of here. And it's crazy. Outside of Paulie, who she was working with, so she does not get credit for this. We see Davon, Zakia, Bridget, Michelle, and Natalie all leave in like a string of a couple weeks. So it's like she is the only girl in the final five, which is kind of crazy. And you know, it's an effective strategy, because one reason that, despite you love her, hate her, you know, and I'm not going to go too deep into it because she's obviously everyone here. I mean, we could talk about her now too. Obviously, since she is, love her or hate her, one of the better players to play Big Brother, top 10 in my opinion. I don't
Top
care what
5.
anyone says. Oh, you're crazy. I think her strategy always gets her far and deep into the games, and if one thing or another goes different in All Stars 2, unfortunately, we were this close to having her be the Sandra of Big
Nicole
Brother.
Diaz Twine, you're so close. I'll never forgive Cody for this.
She was this close to being a 2-time winner of Big Brother, which
Never
I
forgive
hate,
Cody.
but
I
she
love
knows
it.
how to make it far. The thing with her, it's kind of like, you know how Andy here is a rat and he's unapologetically about it? She's a rat, but doesn't like to admit that she's a rat. She rats every woman out to the guys, and then the guys go after the girls. She does not like to admit that, though, and I think she's a crybaby about it, and that's why there's like this distaste for Nicole Franzel from a lot of people. Now there are people like Shinx here who love Nicole, and that's fine. I cannot stand Nicole Franzel, but I will give her credit where credit's due. I think she's a phenomenal Big Brother player. Obviously, we got a couple more players to talk about, but let's just get this out the way now, bro. Remember it. Nicole Franzel is a fantastic player. Do not rip me to shreds. I just don't like her personality. I don't like the stop. Like I don't like her voice. I don't like the aesthetic. I don't like the finale dress she wore. I don't like Nicole.
If she wants to wear a picnic dress to finale, let her wear a picnic.
I was happy when Rachel Riley called her out on Amazing Race and said, "Nicole, your brain is watching." You know, I love that. I wish if Rachel wasn't pregnant, it would have been Rachel and Janelle there to eat that woman to shreds. Okay.
My hot take is Nicole still places the highest of all three of them.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
No.
Anyway,
I think Rachel would have been a bigger target than Nicole in that house.
I don't want to hear it. But anyway.
I love Rachel too, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. She finally agrees to being a villain, but I think that's after production was slipping to her that America wasn't banging with her too much.
I think in 22 she admitted it a lot more than 18.
And I mean, I'm not gonna, no credible source, but allegedly, if you remember to the preseason of All Stars,
that was made up. That we confirmed that was made up. We confirmed that was made up.
Anyway,
we both know who that came from, and we both know who they got it from.
Anyway,
we both know where that came from.
What you gotta say.
Was made up. We both know that was made
Continue on. So what were you about to say?
I was gonna say, I think it's also whoever. No one really sees themselves. It's always like everyone's the hero in their own story. So it's like, and when you're playing this game, they're like, yeah, the people who are on the bottom you're never going to be a villain and be on the bottom, because there's always that underdog factor that will always pull you in. Like, remember, people did not like Paul and Victor at the start. They're on the bottom, and even looking at 19, Jessica and Cody hated week 1. They're on the bottom. You probably shouldn't, but everyone still loved them. And look who got fan favorite. Look who got put on the Amazing Race. It's something about the underdog factor. And Nicole was the underdog in 16. So then in 18 and arguably in 22, where she's at the top of the house and never really in any danger, there's nothing to want to root for. It's like there's no majority. You don't want to break up. She isn't the majority, so you want to break that up and see her downfall because she's a part of the numbers. So it's just something about people always go towards the underdog, and her gameplay. There's people like Dan who can be on the top. Just throw your eyes at me. People like Dan who are at the top of the house, but they make it exciting. Or like Wills, people want to see that, but people don't want to see Nicole's gameplay. Or even like Derek and Cody, they get called boring. So no one wants to root for them because they're seen as boring. So it's like you're in power and you're boring. that's 2 double negatives for high fan popularity. So that's how I see it. If you break it down to like numbers,
I'll never forgive her for what she did to Davon and All Stars, but that's listen. Another conversation
I
for
won't
another
either. But
podcast.
also, it was the
Another
wall yeller.
conversation
Wall
for
yeller
another
kind of yucked that one
podcast.
up. The wall yeller yucked that one
Another
up.
conversation for so you think it's better that she was going to let the girl go home? We'll talk about this later.
Goodbye
Anyway,
messages exist for a reason. That's all I got. It's a lie. You can't not lie in Big Brother. Come
different
on.
podcasts. But anyway, just to speed through the rest of the house because it's kind of straightforward from here. To be honest with you, Corey was Nicole's showmance. Nothing much to it. I know some people think that Corey possibly could have won if he made it to the end. Yeah, that's true.
I think he maybe beats her. Maybe
that's true, but I'm glad that that's not our future because
the only thing people remember about him is her showmance and the goat burning story. That's all people know about Corey.
He had a weird obsession with Christmas too. Not the player, but the holiday.
Probably the player too at this point. Who knows?
Oh yikes!
He has a type for blonde, so maybe. Who knows?
And then James, such a fall from. Was he actually on Grace? To be honest, I wasn't really a huge
whatever
fan of
stock
James.
he had, he lost it. I don't even know if he had.
Yeah, I don't even know what happened to this dude. Like, it was so sad to the point where James is one of the first players I've ever seen who isn't playing to win the season.
That man wanted fan favorite.
Playing for America's fan favorite.
He got Natalie on that fucking bandwagon. I'm like, what's going on here?
He's like, oh, I'm gonna do some pranks. You're in the final 3, and you're more.
They brought him back he thinks the pranks brought him back, and the pranks made him lovable. So he's like, I'm just gonna double. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm gonna double down on this. But I'm like, bro.
But it's just like you're in the final 3, and you're more concerned about America's favorite player than winning the game.
I don't know.
That's crazy. That's blasphemous to me. Didn't even get it. Okay.
Top 3 again.
Who got it this season? Was it Paul?
It was Victor. It was Victor, Natalie, and James top 3.
Well deserved.
Victor got it. Yep.
Well deserved. But then we got Paul. Paul. I think this is the more favorable Paul here.
Yes.
Obviously we just did Big Brother 19. Paul, straight villain, and I think there's some change around Paul. I think Paul still has a very cult-like fan base, just like he did in the season. But I was actually a Paul fan in the season. I wanted Paul to beat Nicole, no secret there. And yeah, and I thought Paul didn't play the best game. I think he was they were definitely very helped out by Victor coming back 2 times this season.
Absolutely.
And the various advantages and twists that were thrown in the season, I definitely think benefited Paul, the whole friendship thing. But I think we saw shades of Paul in the season that we saw in 19.
Yep.
For example, like I have to say, like I did earlier, this occurred. And, so there's a possible chance that, Paul pulls it out. He only lost by 1 vote. But like 19 that we spoke to, the sky, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. Paul's jury management's horrible. It's interesting that both juries speak about this, and I wish I pulled the clip up. I'm not going to worry about it. Yeah. Both juries say the same thing. Paul does not know how to keep it real, lies to us, send goodbye messages for no reason. And it came back to bite him, and Nicole won. But
they didn't watch this season before going into 19. Well, I get it,
unfortunately,
but also you got to learn. I don't know.
But yeah, that's our little assessment on the cast real quick. So start doing our closing questions, Shinx. So how does Big Brother 18 really stack up against the rest of the season? Do we want to put it in the upper echelon, the middle of the pack, or lower leveled?
Me, I'm biased. I'd say top tier, but for a general ranking, I'd say like upper middle at best. There's definitely better seasons. If I remove my bias, there's definitely some better. But I think this season, especially within the era it is from, it's one of the most different, because even 17 was kind of a scamper squad power struggle. 20 was the level 6 power struggle. This was probably the most fluid of the modern era seasons. And I think it gets a lot of hate because of the Nicole thing, but as time goes on, it kind of dies down. People are like, 18 was pretty fun, and we got a lot of gifts. Davon really got to shine here. Love him or hate him, we got introduced to Paulie as a TV character, which MTV clearly saw golden for a minute.
18. Yes, they do.
It was like, and even Davon was supposed to be on this last season, apparently, or something like that. So MTV loves him. But yeah, I think 18 for the most part, it's a good season. They had great newbies, And I think they were one of the more, before the diversity quota even came in, they were just one of the more diverse casts. I think they were 50-50 or like very close to being 50-50.
Yeah, they were. I'm looking at it right now. It's a very diverse cast. For sure.
Yeah, so I'm like 18. I think 18 is one of, if not the best of the modern seasons. In a wider scale, it's definitely upper middle. It could,
Yeah.
not one of the bottom tiers, so I don't think it's that bad.
I'm gonna agree with you. I was gonna say middle of the pack, but I think it's one of the upper middle as well. There's a lot of quotable moments here, a lot of iconic moments. We got blindsides, we got characters, the stuff that I can always go back and look at. And I think that, was it a steamroll? I don't really think so. I think that
No?
there were a bunch of self-destructive groups here, and that was always fun for me in this era of Big Brother, where I'm very excited to keep talking about these eras going to 17 and argumentatively 16. I know a lot of people are not a big fan of it, and so on and so forth. But like we're going to get these seasons to talk about where it's not just like a predominant alliance steamrolling. Like I said, 16 will get there, but it's interesting to talk about. So I'm very excited. So I will agree with you, upper middle end. And lastly, obviously we have Paul, Nicole, Davon, who have all came back and played again. Obviously, it's slim chances at this point that we will see a lot of these people come back. Most of them are now in a new home in
Married, parents, all
MTV
that
or
jazz, or
married.
on
Yes.
TV, something like that.
But if we had the option to see someone back, who would be someone that you want to see come back to play Big Brother?
Of these newbies, I would, if Bridget would be down, I'd love to see her come back. But from a TV, like I will be glued. It's Paulie, because Paulie has shown exactly why he is not Cody, for the good and for the bad. Because you can call Cody boring. You cannot call Paulie boring. You can say Cody's great at Big Brother. You can't really say Paulie's that great at Big Brother. So I'm just like, for the most part, but also Paulie's a good competitor. He will win stuff. He'll also lose. I don't know. I think Paulie coming back. I think this is another rumor I heard. Apparently, if they couldn't get Cody for 22, they were going to get Paulie. So I'm like, what is that timeline looking like? So I'm like, we were this close. Maybe if that rumor was legit. And I don't think they've lost Paulie's number. I think if we ever slim chances get a second chance season, I could see Paulie coming back. I know if we ever get a legend season, I could see Paul coming back, maybe. And if the most slim of all, if we ever get an all winner season, I'm crossing my fingers and toes, an all winner season.
I think she's done.
I think she says she's done. She says she's done, but there's not a lot of female winners right now.
First boot.
She's not a lot of female winners right now.
First boot, Franzel, please.
And you got to say she's still the first to be someone who identified as a man at the time. First woman to beat a man. She's at the time. She has that forever. No, take that from her. So unless they get a lot more female winners, because they need that 50-50 split.
Listen, we got Taylor.
We got Taylor. The numbers are rising, but not enough.
They coming.
We can get more. I think they'd pay her enough. I think she's short to be like, Keisha, show up, get her check, go home first. She'd be fine with that.
I hope she does.
Show up, get your check. Lakeisha, get your check.
She does not need to be on Janelle numbers of return.
She got to go back. She got the most days in the house.
We're
bro.
Good. We're
she
good.
Can go home, get her check, go back to her baby.
We don't need to increase.
Get her check, get her baby. She's good. She's fine.
I'm good. If I were to pick someone, I think Paulie is a great pick here. Also, shout out Jose. I forgot to say this. Jose.
If they do a pre-tour season, Jose for sure.
He was actually in contention to be on Big Brother OTT, but Jason.
Oh yeah, that was not a fair vote. I'm sorry.
Absolutely,
that vote was not fair.
Absolutely not. But I would pick Big Meech. I think Big Meech is freaking hilarious. So I will take that.
I'd love to see
Why
Big
not?
Meech back. Why not?
What a meme. She's been used for
she can rack up winners too.
Yeah. So I'll pick Big Meech. But look, that's our review for Big Brother 18. This was a pretty fun one, Shinx, don't you think?
I agree. I had fun.
All right. So For those who are not already doing it, please check out the Silent Podcast account, the social media account, the Twitter, YouTube, and on our social media platforms you can find on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you like what you hear, please leave a 5-star review. If it is 4, just keep it to yourself. You're going to drop my ratio down. But thank you so much for listening. Shinx, as always, thank you for holding it down with me. I know we're
Thank you
supposed
for
to have
having
3,
me.
but we killed it. Where can people find you? And is there anything you want to plug?
All right, you can just find me on Twitter at Shinxboy01. I'll tweet about anything and everything, and primarily you can just check out the Big Brother Wiki, give us some clicks, read the pages. We put in a lot of work. We're not the most perfect, but we're all just normal people who won't even get paid for this stuff. We're just trying our best to be a good database. And also shout out Hamster Watch. I love you, Dingo. That's all I gotta say.
listen. Shout out to the Big Brother Wiki. If you guys don't know, I use the Wiki for these every single podcast. So if you need your interview, if you need your information, go on the Big Brother Wiki for a quick freshen up.
I'll be over there too if you find me on the message boards, whatever. I'll be around. Thank you for having me, Isaiah.
Of course.
Be back anytime you need me.
Oh, real quick, while I'm doing my plugs, great question. Would you ever continue to Toll Drama Series? Absolutely. Me and Sabrina, she's watching Toll Drama World Tour. We're going to come back after she catches up, and we're going to talk about it because we're preparing for HBO Max to come back. So, if you want to watch that or other podcasts, follow me at 8Ball Bangers on all social media platforms. If you didn't already, me and Taylor Hill, the winner of Big Brother 24, did a review on Beyonce's album Renaissance. Such a fun time, such a queen. Shout out Taylor.
Love you, Taylor.
So check that out. And join us next week on Monday, Sunday. Hopefully, it's looking like a Monday recording, and we are going to talk about Big Brother 17. Very excited. I got some fresh new faces that haven't been on the podcast yet or been on the podcast in a while, so look out for that. And I want to say right here, right now, make sure you are here for Big Brother 14. I know we are so far out. This is Big Brother 17's next. 8, 16, 15. You got 3 more podcasts for Big Brother 14. Make sure you're there for Big Brother 14.
It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one.
That's going to be one of my biggest podcasts I've ever done on YouTube. So make sure, in general, for Silent Podcast, that's going to be one of our biggest podcasts ever. The guests we have are astronomical. So make sure there for Big Brother 14. Get this in your mind now. Big Brother 14 is going to be a huge one. Don't forget. But until next time, have a good one. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Peace out.